All right, the homework for the radioactive decay packet. I didn't do a whole lot. It's not actually that long. Medicine has a half-life of 6 hours. The patient is given 600 milligrams at noon. What time do they have 100 milligrams remaining? Here's the funny thing about this part is those of you that take dual enrollment will be taught this stuff using a sub t equals pe raised to the RT. And none of you will do it the easy way I teach it. None of you. Anyways, it mentions half-life, so that's what it mentions. Because it mentions half-life, my formula has to be the amount after time passes is the principal times 1/2 raised to the t over the half-life time. Because that's how it works. Now, I'm given 600 at noon. I want to know when they have 100 grams in their system. So after some time passes, they have 100. They're given 600. And the time is unknown, but 6 hours have passed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide out the 600. 100 over 600 is going to be 1 over 6. I'm going to have 1/2 raised to the exponent of t over 6. I'm going to ln both sides because that's the technique we're going to use. ln of 1 over 6 is equal to the ln of 1/2 with an exponent of t over 6. I'm going to follow the property that says exponents in front. Natural log of, I'm going to be pretty about this too. Like I said, I'm going to be pretty about this. Natural log of 1 minus the natural log of 6 is equal to t divided by 6 times the natural log of 1/2. Now, when I look at this thing, what I see is I see division of 6 and multiplication of ln of 1/2. That's what I see. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to take the other side, multiply it by 6, and instead of multiplying by 1/2, I'm going to divide it by 1/2, which I'm going to write as the natural log of 1 minus the natural log of 2. That's the pretty answer. That's the beautiful answer. I know what I'm doing here is really throwing some kids off, but I want it needs to be talked about. And I'll show you their equivalent. So I've got 6. Notice how I wrote things. I use parentheses and all that good stuff. Parentheses, natural log 1 minus ln 6. You know, my job is to teach you the rules of logarithms, equivalent functions. So there's a lot more going on than you think there is. The job is not just how do we get an answer. I wish it was. So it looks like it takes about 15.5 hours. That makes sense. Now, I'm sure some of what I did with starting right here was pretty confusing. So I'll dumb it down for you. It's not a problem. I'm sure some of you don't care. But anyways, I'll not rewrite that 1/6. I'm still going to have to move that t over 6 out front. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to multiply by 6, divide by that. And it's just going to look kind of funny. I've got to multiply by 6, so 6 ln 1 over 6. And I've got to divide by the natural log of a half. And that's my time. It's going to be the same thing. It's 6 ln's of 1/6 divided by the ln of a half ought to be the same exact thing. Ah, it is. Who would have thought? All right, moving on to number 4. This is really how it actually happened. Nobody in the West, some of you have seen the movie about Chernobyl, but nobody in the West knew it happened for a while until radiation was detected in the atmosphere. Russia kept this quiet as long as they could. They did not want the world to realize that they were not as strong as they were. So after the release of radioactive material in the atmosphere from a nuclear power plant at Chernobyl, the Hay in Austria, which is a couple hundred miles west of Chernobyl, was contaminated by iodine-131. Its half-life, not a couple hundred, several hundred. Its half-life is 8 days. If it is all right to feed the hay to cows when 10% of the iodine-131 remains, how long do the farmers need to wait to use this hay? So I look at 10% and I see 0.1. And the idea here is that the principal, let's just write that down, 10% remains. We can use the percentages, but the principal had to be 100%. That's what it had to be. Principal is 100%. And again, I'm going to use decimals. The goal is to get to this. This is a sub t. All right. I'm going to convert it to a decimal. 0.1 equals, and convert 100% to a decimal, 1. It's half-life, because it talks about half-life. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but I know the half-life time is 8 days. Approach this one like I did the last one. The natural log of 1/10 equals t over 8 natural log of 1/2. I did a lot there, didn't I? Sorry. Let me do this again. I'm tired and I don't want to go slow because I'm really tired and I have a lot to do. Mainly grade your tests. I have a property that says that the exponent goes out front. So t over 8 to the front of the bus. And I'm going to counteract division through multiplication. And I'm going to counteract multiplication through division. That's my time. Now, by the way, the pretty answer is 8 parentheses natural log 1 minus natural log 10, all sitting pretty over natural log 1 minus natural log 2. You know, figure that out. How am I doing that? Because you guys have to know, well, some of you have to know logarithms next year. Some of you actually do. You have to know them. If you're taking dual enrollment, or if you take me next year, we still do logarithms. If you're going to take the easy math class your senior year, I fully respect that. You're not going to do logarithms. It looks like it takes about 26.6 days, because this was in days. And moving forward with my life. Using the graphing ability of your calculator and the intersect function, solve log base 4, 4x minus 1 plus 2 equals log base 2, 3x plus 1 minus 1. If you want to know how to do these things by hand, find me. I'd be happy to show you. Oh, anyways, what I'm actually going to type in is going to be ln 4x minus 1. Sitting pretty over ln 4, because I know change of base, add 2. y2, I'm going to do ln 3x plus 1. Sitting pretty over ln2, because look, just look. Don't just blindly copy, see what I'm doing. Minus 1, and I got to hit the pause button because a kid just came in. All right, where were we? Oh yeah, calculator time. I wish somebody would buy a calculator. It would invoke ownership of the course. You'd be surprised once you take ownership what happens to things. So I'm typing in y1 and y2. I'm going to make these a staple of your basics quizzes. Should be easy points. Be some of you that still won't bother to figure it out. Anyways, Zoom 6. And then I don't actually have to change the window setting. Oh, yes, I do. There's actually two answers here. There's one here. No, there's not. There's one way over here. Kind of interesting. Has two answers. Second trace, 5 for intersect. I think it's got two answers. Enter, enter, enter. There's one of them. I got 0.2625 for an answer. Call that x1. .2625. And we got a second one up there, which we'll call x2. And I know there's a second one because if I pay attention, I see that it looks like they're probably going to cross paths. So let's go take that x max out to about 50. See if it happens. You should not ever have to adjust the y max on a logarithm. It's very rare that you do. But it looked to me like that red curve was about to catch up to the blue curve. That's what it looked like to me. Yep, 50 did it. Second trace, 5. Get close, enter 3 times. Enter, enter, enter. 27.5153. That's really all those are. I mean, they're not that hard. Just, you got to sit down and do them. All right, what do we have? 8? 8's got some trig in it. You are supposed to draw, find the missing angle on all remaining sides. So it's a geometry standard. Good ACT prep too, by the way. A right triangle has a hypotenuse of 15. One acute angle that measures 23 degrees. By the way, if you're ever curious like why I draw triangles this way and not like this, it's because I teach trig. Because there's actually a proper way of actually drawing things. This is probably the reason why I draw them this way. Let's see, I have hypotenuse 15, one angle 23 degrees. I'm going to go through by finding missing sides. This is the opposite side. It is opposite of 23 degrees. I'll label this one y. It is the adjacent side. I'm going to start solving for x. If I'm looking at x, I have opposite and hypotenuse. By the way, something y'all can't spell. I noticed on the log test that I've graded today that many of you can't spell they. Oh. Anyways, opposite of hypotenuse. Sine. The sine of 23 degrees must be x over 15. I have 15 both sides. So x is 15 sines of 23 degrees. And then I go push some buttons. I check the mode of my calculator. She's in degree. 15 sines of 23. And the x value is about 5.86. We could do Pythagorean theorem to find y, but we may as well use our trig function. So we have a and h, that's the cosine ratio. Cosine, this is for y, by the way. Cosine of 23 degrees must be equal to y over 15. It's got the same process. You 15 both sides, and you'll get the missing leg. And then you can go around and push some buttons. $13.81. Now I asked you to finish the triangle. We've got a side length here of about 5.86, 13.81, 15, and this is 23 degrees. And you should know full well that that angle is going to be 90 minus. That's what you should know. It's 90 minus because we already have 90. It's 90 minus 23 degrees, which should be 57. So there's a flashback from geometry, and I think there's one more I'm going to do on these. Yeah, it's that one. It does say show your work. That's all it says. What values of x satisfy the system? It's a straight up substitution problem. We're going to put that right there. You can use the transitive property too. If you remember what the transitive property is, you probably don't. And we're going to shift everything to the right because we have ourselves a quadratic. So I have an x squared on the right. Negative 6x minus 2x is negative 8x. 9 minus the negative 6 is plus 15. Now equals 0. We're going to factor. Factors of 15 are going to be 5 and 3. And if they're both negative, we add the negative 8. We're going to use the ZPP, the zero product property. X is 5 or x is 3. Now, this question is fair game on both the non-calculator and calculator part. This is a fair question for either calc or non-calc part of the EOC. So, if on the calc part, most of you guys are not watching this. Half of y'all share your work. Some of y'all watch my video and then share it. Make them watch. Like if you had to do it, let them do it. If people get mad at you because you won't share your homework with them, they're not your friends. You owe them nothing. You are merely a friend of convenience to that individual. Test that little theory. See who your friends are. If you're a person who shares your stuff, stop sharing. See if they're still friends with you. You'll know. Anyways, Zoom 6. We should see a line and a quadratic. There's the line. Should start seeing a quadratic come in pretty soon. Should cross here and there. 2 answers. Second trace 5. Get close. That looks like 3 to me, by the way. 3. Second trace 5 again. Get close to the next one. It ought to be 5. Enter, enter, enter. 7. Means I made a mistake. Somewhere. Oh, it's right there, isn't it? I typed in the wrong equation. X squared minus 6x minus 9. Oops. Good news is my algebra is fine. That's what I was expecting. Did you finish up, Wes? Hold on a second, I'll get you the next one. Anyways, enter, enter, enter. There's my 5. And that does it for next Tuesday's homework.